Kia ora whānau, I'm Casey. What's your name?
Patty. I don't know, what is my name?
Patty. This is our day 4 of our 25-day mental health awareness challenge. I wanted to start off with a story, actually, that my sister reminded me of. She put a comment in our day 2, so our coming out video, and it was this funny story that I've forgotten, but I wanted to tell you guys because I thought it was pretty crack up. So when I was 5, you go to primary, and you get those like writing books, and it has like a bit at the top where you can draw a picture, and then underneath you have to like describe what this picture is. And I remember, I don't remember writing it, but it was my book anyway, from Epuni Primary School, or E-Town, back in Wellington. And I had drawn, this is 5-year-old me. I remember our coming out.
Telling your age,
yeah,
just to justify.
I remember on our coming out video, I said that I knew I was like attracted to women when I was like 5. So this is when I was 5, and me and my sister, we found my 5-year-old writing book, and in the picture I'd drawn these chickens, and then underneath I had put in there, I'd written, "I like chicks." Well, and I can imagine like sitting here now that I was like, I'm one of those kids, you know those kids that just hint. They're just, oh man, whose is that chocolate?
Not just a kid though, guys.
Or like, oh,
also
I
now.
like that. I like that McDonald's or something. Like I know that I was just one of those kids that were just like a hinter, and I can imagine myself going down 5 years old, drawing a scene, and then like writing "I like chicks," and then just going around like showing Mrs. Boyd. Right, getting here to mark my paper. But that was me. That was my coming out story. I think that was my very first coming out story
that you forgot about.
That I forgot about. Totally forgot
Come
about
on,
it.
Mrs. Boyd.
Come on, Mrs. Boyd. 27 years ago, that was me coming out to my teacher. Letting her know I like chicks. But yeah, that was like crack up as, and I forgot about it until Tia put it on that post. So thank you, funny. Tia. It was something to laugh about and crack up at. Today we're gonna have a crack at talking about what it was like to lose our nans, because we both lost our nans while we were living over here in Australia, and we want to talk about what that was like, how we got through that, and yeah, it was tough. I'll let Pat talk about her nan first, and what that was like.
Yeah. So I lost my nan a few weeks after we moved to Canberra. And it was all of a sudden. It wasn't all of a sudden, but it was at the same time. We were pretty close. I lived with her, I don't know what age. It feels like I think it was all my life until I left at 18. But we were really close, and I didn't expect it at all. She's like those nans that would stay around forever. That was always there, always at all those parties.
I think that's how we think of our nans, though. Like anyone, you always just expect them to always be around, always forever. And then,
because we're always looking at her, man, she's just gonna be around all the time. And it was really tough. It was really tough. Because we couldn't go back to the tangi, and I think that was a lot harder. I mean, I did have some family here, so like in Canberra, and I had Casey, and so it was a lot easier, but it was still really hard. It was kind of weird as well, because I felt like I went through a phase, or I don't know what it is, for a long time, that thinking that she hadn't passed away, because I hadn't gone to the tangi, so I didn't know. Oh, no, I did know, but I didn't. You know, when you
it just doesn't feel real.
It just doesn't feel real, because you're supposed to. Usually, when you go to the tangi, you grieve with the family. You kind of go through everything with them, and you just know. But I think being over here it didn't click, and I would go through times where I just like forget that she had passed away, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, and then I'll remember it. It was
And it's like she passed away again.
Yeah, and it was like a roller coaster, and I'm not really one to like tell or talk about my emotions, because I find it awkward. But that was still really tough to talk about, even with you.
Yeah.
But and it will always happen at random times, you know, like driving in the car, or like when I'm like at work, right in front of customers, face right in front of them. It always happens like that. So it was like really tough. And then when we went back, I was expecting like all of her stuff to still be in her room, you know, like 6 months later. I think it was the first time I went back. And it wasn't. And it wasn't. It was really hard. But yeah, I think how I was dealing with it was having you there. I mean, we'll talk about it sometimes, but not all the time. And I think it was tough, because when your grandmother died as well, so it was super hard that year. But yeah.
I reckon the toughest thing for me, when Nanny Parker passed away, obviously being in Australia, but because I knew how you guys were and how close you guys were, it was like, I felt guilty for myself because we couldn't get back there. And we didn't get to say goodbye to her how we would usually do in our culture. I remember when we first came together, you were always talking about like your mum and your nan and your sister. Those were the main people that I always knew about.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time you introduced me to her, it was really cute. And again, I had anxiety, like how like I didn't want to stuff it up and say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and be respectful and stuff like that. And so I remember meeting her, cute as, such a cute lady, her, like giving her a kiss and a hug and stuff like that, and then seeing how you were with her, because Nanny Parker was you know, a little bit old. She was like almost in 80. It was her 80th birthday, right?
Yep, it was her 80th.
And then yeah, it was the 80th birthday. Wait, 1 second. Sorry, I seen one of my cousins. One of my cousins came over, so we went to quickly say hello, and then Patty got changed. Got Lady Gaga changed.
Yeah.
But where was I? Nanny Parker was fragile, I guess. That's nice. That's a way. And to see how Patty was with her, talking with her and getting her stuff ready and looking after her, it was really cute to me, because at the time you were 20, and the love that I seen that you had for your nan was really cute. So that's when I knew that she was a predominant person in your life. Predominant?
Oh, you and your
What
words.
does that even
Why
mean?
do you always
I don't even know what that means. Predominant. But yes, I'm a very important person in your life, and so it was hard for me, because I knew when she passed and we couldn't go back, I felt kind of guilty because we couldn't make that experience for you happen. but the only thing that I felt like I could do at the time was to just be there for you. I remember when I would just cried. I think it was like her last night. We just cried and cried that we were gonna miss her, and we had our own little like last night.
Where we just
talked about her. I didn't have too much stories to tell or anything. So I think we'd only been together like a year and a half or something. But all the stories that you had of her were like really cool and really cute. So that's all that I felt I could offer you at that time, and just be there to catch the tears and give hugs and stuff like that. So
you did a great job, Laura.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely a tough time, especially moving, being in Aussie. 3 months after we came to Aussie, my grandmother, so my Nanny Awhi, my dad's mum passed away. 2 weeks before she passed away, her mother passed away. So I just got in a new job. We just got a new place, an apartment, and yeah, I got told that my great grandmother had passed away. And then 2 weeks later or something like that, around about, my sister rang me and said that my Nanny Awhi had a stroke and that she was in hospital, and that I should probably think about going home and seeing her, that she's okay, but should probably think about going home. And so we were fortunate enough to have Patty's cousin that helped us get home and come back. Yeah. And yeah, I am grateful that we were able to go back and see her before she passed. Be with her, even though she didn't see me, but you know, could talk to her and hold her hand and everything. She passed away, I think probably on the second day we were there, and then after that she laid in Wainoiomata, and then we took her back up to the East Coast. We touched base on this like a little bit yesterday, where we touched base on it a little bit yesterday, where we were able to be there, but we weren't able to be at the burial day. We had to leave just before that, and then we flew back home. It was tough. I'm not gonna lie, because I had Pat, and she did a great job. She was there just how like I was there with her, for her. She was there to catch all the tears, because randomly I'll just cry out of nowhere. Yeah. I think my Nanny Awhi was probably the first closest person that had passed away to me. And
I never think it, just keep going.
And it was so tough. Like I grew up heaps around my family, and when me and Pat came together, we had moved to Auckland with Pat's fams, and then we had moved over to Aussie, and so I was completely out of my comfort zone. I was used to being with my family all the time. Even if we did go to a tangi or something like that, or someone passed away, I was always used to being around my family with everything. So being in Aussie was hard, because I didn't have a family to go to and grieve with. Even though I don't think we grieve that much, we kind of just have like a little bit of a, like, take the piss out of each other, like a bit of a laugh, which I love, which is what helps me. But I didn't have that this time. What I did have though was, like, my sister would ring all the time, ask how we were doing, or we'll just have like little talks. She'll just talk about how she just cried out of nowhere today, Miss Nan, you know, all that. We had a family page up where everyone was just posting up all of their things, making sure everyone was okay, so that helped a lot. And yeah, it was tough. Thinking about them now makes us get a little bit emotional. Hey?
Yeah, we don't really talk much about them anyways. I mean, it was really tough because for both of us to be going through the same thing. But at the same time, it was easy because we had each other. It's been up in there. Yeah, I know that. So, guys.
Yeah. It's hard. That's grief. That's grieving though. Like, you have to find your best ways or how you do that, eh? Yeah. Something that I wanted to bring up today is that one of the other biggest losses in my life, apart from Nanny Y passing, was actually is the passing of my grandma, which is weird because I never met her.
Yeah.
So my Grandma Awhi, she passed away like close to 42 years ago now, I think. Just before she turned 40, she passed away. She never got to meet any of her grandchildren, but I remember growing up and always missing her, or always crying about her, or something like that, because I think the grieving process through my mum and her siblings, I think it must have lasted a long time, because I remember we'll go back to Waima or something like that, and the guitar will come out. We'll be in the marae, and then all of a sudden one of my aunties or uncles would be crying for their mum. And I remember that just as a kid, that they're always crying for their mum. And even her even her sisters will go back to the old homestead and stuff, and we'll just turn up, and I don't know, we must look like her or something. We must have looked like her or something. And we'll turn up and we'll get the biggest hugs, and they wouldn't even know my name or my sister's names. And they'll just call us Awhi. And they're like, "Oh, this is my sister. I love you, my sister," like stuff like that. And I'm just like, but that's not my name.
So cute.
So the loss of her, I think, through all those years ago is something that was really tough really tough for my mum and her siblings, because it happened when they were all young. But it's something that's continued through the generations. Yeah, I miss her all the time. I feel like I know her, and that she knows me, and that we though we didn't get to hang out in the physical, that we hang out in the spiritual all the time. And so remembering that she's gone always makes me sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the other thing that helps us cope with grief is knowing our culture and how so spiritually connected we are with that side of things, of knowing that there's life after death, sort of things. That's just our culture, that there's that the physical realm and the spiritual realm, they all kind of intertwine, and one day I'll get to see her again, our Nans again, and your Nan again. And that's something that helps me get through grief of losing a loved one, is knowing that one day we can chill out.
Just chill.
Just hang.
Play last card.
Last card. Yeah.
I was playing last card.
But yeah, so that is our conversation, our topic today, the Nans, how we coped with it. Did we cope with it?
We coped with it.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love you guys. See you tomorrow.